There are moments when the impossible becomes possible, when a single voice silences an empire. This is the story of one such moment. Jerusalem, 33 AD. A young woman stands in the hall of the most powerful man in the city, surrounded by soldiers, watched by officials. Her name is Miriam. She's 20 years old, a peasant, daughter of a condemned man. And she says 5 words that make the room erupt in laughter. Release my father, and I'll heal you. They laugh because she's nobody. And he, Pontius Pilate, the Roman governor, is dying. A disease no physician can cure. A death sentence that all the power in the world cannot prevent. So when this girl makes her impossible offer, they mock her. But something stops Pilate. Maybe it's the conviction in her eyes. Maybe it's desperation. Heal me, he says. And if you fail, you die alongside your father. She doesn't flinch. I won't fail. What happened next would become a story whispered for generations. This is that story. To understand this moment, you need to understand the stakes. Jerusalem was a powder keg. Roman occupation, Jewish resistance, violence simmering beneath every interaction. And Pontius Pilate, the governor holding it all together, was secretly dying. For months, he'd suffered from a mysterious illness. Pain in his stomach, weakness in his limbs, night sweats. Every physician had failed, every remedy useless. And weakness in Rome meant death, not from disease, but from rivals who would seize power the moment they sensed vulnerability. So Pilate hid it and searched desperately for a cure. Meanwhile, Miriam's world was collapsing. Her father, Joseph, a carpenter, had been arrested, accused of rebellion on thin evidence, sentenced to crucifixion, 3 days to live. Miriam had always been different. Since childhood, she could sense sickness, calm pain with a touch. She tried to save her mother from fever years ago. Almost succeeded, but it was too late. That gift, she'd hidden it. In a world ruled by Rome, any power outside the empire's control was dangerous. But now her father was going to die, and hiding was no longer an option. She heard the rumors. The governor was sick, dying, and an impossible plan formed in her mind. She would offer him what no physician could, healing, in exchange for her father's life. The Praetorium, the governor's residence, massive stone structure, guarded by soldiers in gleaming armor, a place where peasants did not enter uninvited. Miriam walked up to the gate. I need to see the governor. Tell him someone is here who can cure his illness. The guard's expression changed. The illness was supposed to be secret. 10 minutes later, she was inside. The hall was vast, marble floors, painted ceilings, and at the far end, Pontius Pilate, wearing his official toga. But up close, the facade crumbled. Pale face, sunken eyes, trembling hands. You claim you can heal me, Pilate said. I can, Miriam replied. Laughter rippled through the room. An advisor stepped forward. Governor, this is absurd. She's nobody. Let her speak, Pilate said. My father, Joseph the carpenter. He's been condemned. I want him freed. More laughter. Your father is a criminal, the advisor sneered. You expect the governor to release him for wild claims? I don't make claims, Miriam said, eyes locked on Pilate. I make offers. Release my father, and I will heal you. And if you fail, Pilate asked, then kill me alongside him. The room went silent. No one expected that. This girl was offering her life. Pilate studied her for a long moment. Very well. Heal me. If you succeed, your father goes free. If you fail, you both die tomorrow at dawn. He gestured to guards. Take her to my chambers. Pilate's private chamber was surprisingly simple. He sat on his bed, stripped of his official robes, wearing only a tunic. Vulnerable. Human. 3 physicians stood nearby. A military officer named Marcus. Guards at the door. I need everyone to leave, Miriam said. Absolutely not, Marcus protested. But after searching her for weapons and finding none, Pilate dismissed everyone except Marcus and 1 guard. Show me this miracle, Pilate said. Miriam approached, knelt before him. Where is the pain? Everywhere, but worst in my stomach and chest. She closed her eyes, took a deep breath, and placed both hands gently on his abdomen. At first, nothing. Then, Pilate gasped. His body went rigid. Marcus reached for his sword. "What are you doing?" "Wait," Pilate said, voice strained. Miriam's hands began to glow, not with fire, but with a gentle, golden warmth that filled the room. Marcus froze. The guard backed against the door, and Pilate felt it. The pain, his constant companion for months, began to fade. Like ice melting, slowly, steadily. Warmth spread through his body. Not burning fever, but soothing, healing warmth reaching into broken places. Miriam opened her eyes. They glowed with the same light. Her voice came from somewhere deeper, older. "The sickness in your body reflects the sickness in your soul. I can heal the first. Only you can heal the second." The light grew brighter, then faded. Miriam removed her hands, swayed. Marcus caught her. Pilate stood slowly, testing his legs, feeling his body. The pain was gone, not diminished. Gone. He took a deep breath. The tightness that made every breath a struggle vanished. He pressed his stomach. No pain, no nausea. For the first time in months, he felt whole. He looked at Miriam, exhausted on the floor. "How did you do that?" "I didn't," she said quietly. "I'm just a vessel. The power comes from something greater." Pilate was silent. Then he turned to Marcus. "Release her father." Immediately, word spread through Jerusalem like wildfire. The governor's illness, cured by a peasant girl. In one evening, Yosef was released that night, weak but alive. When Miriam met him at the prison gates, he wept. "What did you do?" "What I had to," she said. But something had changed in Pilate. He'd felt real power that night. Not political power. Something deeper. Something that made his own authority seem hollow. And it troubled him. In the days that followed, he became obsessed with understanding. He summoned priests, philosophers. Some spoke of ancient prophets, of miracles, of the power of faith. Others warned him it was dangerous, that accepting such things would undermine Rome. But Pilate couldn't forget her words. "The sickness in your body reflects the sickness in your soul." What did that mean? And then, weeks later, another man was brought before him. A teacher, a rabbi, accused of blasphemy. His name was Jesus of Nazareth. When Pilate looked into his eyes, he saw the same thing he'd seen in Miriam's. That certainty, that peace. And he wondered if he was looking at the source of the power that had healed him. History tells us what happened next. Pilate tried to release Jesus multiple times, but political pressure won. He washed his hands and sent Jesus to be crucified. According to tradition, that decision haunted him for life. He'd been given a glimpse of something greater, a moment of healing, physical and spiritual, and he turned away from it. What happened to Miriam? History doesn't record her name, but early Christian writings speak of women with healing gifts, women who followed Jesus, who became part of the early church. Could one have been Miriam? Perhaps. If so, her gift continued to serve, not for wealth or fame, but to alleviate suffering. That's the real miracle of this story. Not just the physical healing, not just the dramatic confrontation with power, but the quiet choice to use a gift for others, to risk everything for love, to believe in the impossible. Miriam believed her father could be saved. She believed she could heal a Roman governor. She believed that faith, real, desperate, all in faith, could change reality. And she was right. So what does this mean for us? 2,000 years later, in a world of science and skepticism, maybe it's not about whether the healing was real in the way we define real. Maybe it's about the power of belief itself. Miriam believed. That belief gave her courage. That courage led to action. That action changed lives. How many times do we face impossible situations and think, there's no solution, no hope? And because we believe it's impossible, it becomes impossible. Not because it is, but because we never try. Miriam tried, against all logic, against all odds. She walked into the seat of Roman power and said, "I can do the impossible." And she did. That's the miracle we can all access. Not glowing hands, not supernatural healing, but the audacity to believe, the courage to act, the refusal to accept that the situation is hopeless. Because sometimes the only thing standing between us and a miracle is our willingness to believe one is possible. Release my father and I'll heal you. 7 words that changed everything. 7 words that remind us. Power isn't always where we think it is. The governor had armies. Authority. The ability to end lives with a word. But he couldn't heal himself. The girl had nothing. No wealth. No position. No protection. But she had faith. And in that moment, faith was more powerful than an empire. This story asks one question. What impossible thing are you not attempting? What miracle are you not believing in? What person, what cause, what dream is worth risking everything for? Because the world is still full of impossible situations. Still full of people who need healing, freedom, hope. And maybe the miracle they need is waiting in you. Not in supernatural powers, but in your willingness to show up, to try, to believe. Release my father, and I'll heal you. Everyone laughed until the miracle happened, and miracles are still happening every day in moments of courage and faith and love. You just have to believe they're possible and be brave enough to try.